the Middle East. Thank you, everyone. Katie, you start with the American Creed, please.
The American Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United States of America as the government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just power is derived from the sense of the government, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Thank you. And Sal, do you have anybody for public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's me.
Okay. Now I have you.
Sorry. Good evening. My name is McAdory Lipscomb, and I'm a resident of 37 Mary Acres Lane here in New Milford, 10-year resident. I come before you tonight because, as I am aware, 2 weeks ago in the town council meeting, there was discussion about the renovation and conversion of the East Street School into an arts complex. I'm also a vice president of the board of Theater Works, and as you may know, we share a parking facility with that particular venue, and we are in full support of the town moving forward with an opportunity to redevelop the East Street School into an arts complex, and that Theater Works is ready and prepared to continue a renovation and upgrade of our own building so that it will contribute nicely to an area that we would like to be known, at least in our minds, as the New Milford Arts Complex. We thank you for your attention on this particular project, and we believe it will be extremely useful for the town of New Milford and creating what we would like to call the art corner of Connecticut. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
May I finish one other thing? We actually asked a number of parents who also have their kids who perform in our Theater Works Kids program to join us tonight to show a bit of support early on around this project. And while I know it's a school night, if I could at least have the folks that decided to come stand and represent a little bit about what we would like to see as a continuing program. We've done more than 100 kids in the past 2024 season, and we're expecting to come somewhere near that with our 6 programs for Theater Works Kids. We'll also do 5 main stage shows through the year, but I'm not going to put in a shameless plug at the moment. But what I would like to say is that I know we're far down on the agenda, and I know it is a school night, so I wanted to recognize the folks that don't want to hang around till the end of the agenda. If you guys, thank you for coming, and we appreciate your support for this project.
Matt, for those kids, amazing. And I want to thank them for really helping us during the Christmas holiday season. You made a lot of people very happy. So thank you very much for what you guys did.
I can't think of anything else, but thank you guys. If y'all want to hang, that's great. If not, I know it's a school night, so thank you very much.
Mr. Clark?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ole Karp. I live at 45 Sullivan Farm. I'm here tonight as chairman of the board of the Corporation for New Milford Economic Development, and I'd like to read a letter that we've prepared to present to the mayor and the town council this evening. Mr. Mayor, members of the town council, at its annual meeting of January 23rd, 2025, the board of directors of the Corporation for New Milford Economic Development held an extensive discussion concerning the proposed development of the East Street School as articulated by the mayor at the town council meeting held on January 13th, 2025. Having heard many iterations for the development of the school, from market rate housing to senior housing to town administrative offices, the proposal to be presented by Valone Ventures this evening is one that the board feels is in the best interest of the town and one that is by far the best fit for the preservation of the character of the school and the continued invigoration of the downtown business district. The spotlight on the arts associated with the proposed Artists in Residence and Cultural Center will serve to bring the property into focus as New Milford's hub for artistic talent and tourism, developing synergies with TheaterWorks, the Arts Commission and Cultural Commission, Village Center for the Arts, the Barn Quilt Trail, and myriad other opportunities in and around our community. Attainable, affordable housing for our senior population is needed and long overdue. The proposed aged 55 and over preferred senior housing development on the school site is within walking distance of the senior center, shops, services, churches, and medical care, which provides an extraordinary quality of life benefit to the residents. In consideration of the above, the Board of Directors of the Corporation for New Milford Economic Development unanimously voted to endorse the proposed project concept for the redevelopment of the East Street School as submitted by Valone Ventures, and encourages the Town Council to authorize the Mayor to begin negotiations with Valone Ventures for the purposes of developing the legal structure and necessary documents for Town Council, public hearing, and town meeting reviews, considerations, and approvals. With kindest regards, Ole Karp, Chairman of the Board.
Well, can I put that in the minutes?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Monleth? Ms. I'm sorry.
Hello, I'm Lou Mandler, 90 Aspetuck Avenue, and I'm also chair of the New Milford Arts Commission, and I'm here to speak in support of the Cultural Center, which again is part of the East Street School project. You know, as we know, we have several flourishing art organizations in town representing theater, music, film, the visual arts, dance. And when New Milford is designated a cultural district, we should have an even more vibrant arts center here. The problem is that with all of these arts organizations, we don't have a dedicated space for arts where more than 50 people can gather. So it's sort of a problem if you want to have a performance, a meeting, a reception, and it really gets in the way of the arts organizations coordinating with each other because they're all in their separate little teepees. So we know too that even though I believe in art for the sake of art, but it's also true that art brings tourists to town. It helps the economy. So certainly a cultural center would also help New Milford to grow and bring people from outside of New Milford to New Milford. But there are a few questions and concerns that I want to just raise and hope that they will be addressed as this project goes forward. Some of them have to do with parking and traffic. The proposal proposes that there will be a new building with 78 residences and then 21 residences in the East Street building itself. I figure that those 99 residences will result in about 130 to 150 vehicles because not every residence would have just one car attached to it. There are 88 garage parking areas designated, and then 103 designated on the site itself. So if you subtract residence parking, and then if you also allow for, service vehicles, home health, grocery delivery, prescription delivery, the plumber, the cable guy, whatever, That would leave about, and these are approximate, but about 72 to 80 parking spaces for TheaterWorks. That might do for one TheaterWorks performance, but if we have a performance at the Cultural Center and at TheaterWorks at the same time, I just trust that the town will have a solution for the overflow traffic. Where will the overflow traffic go? Then there's traffic. That East Street, Elm Street intersection is already pretty busy. As someone who often has to make a left turn onto Elm from east, it can really cause stalled traffic. I mean, there's a left turn signal there, but it doesn't do any good unless you're the first car in the row. So there again, I hope the town would address that intersection given the increased traffic. Then moving to inside East Street, we all know about the artwork that's there. There's the WPA project. There's the stained glass two-story American literature building in the artwork in the north, and then there's in the inner hallway, there's the mural. And these are a result of the 1935 WPA Federal Arts Project. And the goal was to put art into public buildings. And I stress the word public because I think it would be, I hope that the intention of that federal act to have art available to the public would be honored when whatever we do here. It would be really ironic if this artwork were available for viewing only for the residents in that building. So I'm hoping that there must be a creative architect that could somehow design the interior so that the art is available for public viewing, which is what the intention of it was. These are just questions and concerns. It doesn't in any way obscure the fact that we're really excited about the fact that the building's being preserved. There's a plan for it, and that there's a plan for a cultural center. So we look forward to working with you on it. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Kopshot, it's out.
Good evening, I'm Tom Kepsat, 94 Long Mountain Road. Later this evening, you will be asked to approve a contract with a consultant to provide yet another study related to what is being referred to as the Riverfront Revitalization Effort. As I mentioned in my email to all of you yesterday, the contract is full of errors and omissions and should not be sent to the consultant. I have provided a list of the concerns that should be addressed. The RFP on which the work under the contract is to be based is ambiguous, internally contradictory, and includes several conceptual errors that, in my opinion, would have rendered it unbiddable. The two addenda that were issued attempted to correct some of the errors, but many still remain. The consultant's proposal includes a number of exclusions that need to be reconciled with the RFP. I understand that the town has issued some sort of notice of engagement to the selected consultant. That notice may make it impossible for the town to cancel the project and to repurpose the funds to an effort that is more likely to result in a more pressing and near-term benefit to the town. At this point, the town may have no option but to proceed with the project under a revised contract. I would recommend that if in fact there is no alternative to proceeding available, the town not use the currently proposed document and take the time to provide the consultant with a contract that can be successfully administered. Unfortunately, the work being requested in the RFP is largely irrelevant and probably will prove to be unusable. A defective contract will only make matters worse. It is important to remember that the town's needs, priorities, and financial circumstances could materially change over the next few years. The current proposal to extend the rail service to New Milford, which is Assembly Bill 6716, that is currently under consideration in the Connecticut legislature, is an example of an occurrence that would significantly change the village's needs. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Hi, everyone. My name is Steph Burr, and I'm the Executive Director at the Northwest Connecticut Arts Council. We are the organization designated by the Office of Community and Economic Development to serve this area's arts and culture sector. So I'm just excited to be here with you tonight to share in the joy of the opportunity that's presented to you to turn East School into a creative community arts center. Last year, we embarked on a year-long research project in order to find the impacts of the pandemic on our society here, our community, our culture, and our economy. And what we learned might not be a surprise to many people, but the pandemic really, really isolated people. So we surveyed a lot of people and a lot of artists, creative business owners, and the top need they identified was a place to come together and create public space. And that is exactly what this project will offer to the community. Another need that we found in our study is the need for intergenerational collaboration. This housing project, in conjunction with a space that will attract a lot of young people, is a great way to facilitate the intergenerational conversation and stewardship of the next generation into community leadership. So I just want to say thank you so much for considering this proposal, and it's very exciting, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Steph. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Liba Furman of Gaylordsville. I have the honor and the pleasure of being on several town agencies. I serve as the chairman, as you know, of the Riverfront Revitalization Committee. I co-chair, along with Lou Mandler, the newly formed Cultural District. I'm an officer of the Corporation for Economic Development, and I'm executive director of the Sherman Chamber Ensemble, which is a regional musical performing group that counts New Milford among its venues. I also took part in formulating New Milford's plan of conservation and development. And all of these activities combined give me a unique and blended perspective. Tonight I am speaking as a resident and not on behalf of these named entities. I'm excited. I see energy, I see enthusiasm, I see a creative concept that's in front of us that can help move New Milford forward. There is a case and a history for housing and cultural amenities at the East Street School. In 2019, the community came together as Peary Associates led workshops and a study for adaptive reuses of the property. Of all the possibilities that were discussed, the one that captured the minds and hearts of many New Milford residents was the option for a combination of art space and housing. Now we move a year ahead. In January 2020, the Camoin 310 marketing study of New Milford was released. Its key findings include New Milford's extraordinary quality of life is its best kept secret. The green is an important asset to move on, and we need to create synergies and activities to have a walkable, livable, vibrant downtown. The lack of housing options makes it difficult to attract new residents as well as retain older residents as they age. Senior housing options are in the greatest demand and present a development opportunity. Emphasis should be placed on making the town attractive to young adults and families. This means continuing to invest and grow the town's recreational, entertainment, and arts amenities that all contribute to the quality of place and provide things for our residents to do. The 2021 POCD states, outright it says this, preserve the East Street School, consider adaptive reuse of the building, establish measures to protect historic town-owned properties, address the various needs of the members of the arts and cultural community so they can remain viable. Consider creating a makerspace for local artisans. Value and use the arts as an economic driver. Incorporate the arts into the town's economic development strategy and explore the creation of a concert venue in or near the downtown. The town shows its value that it places on the arts by funding the Arts Commission, Gallery 25, the newly established Summer Art Show that's been such a great success these past 2 years, and by the establishment of the Cultural District Committee just at the end of 2024. This cultural center is needed, and I know there's lots to be decided, lots of details, what's going to be on the inside, how's it going to operate, who's going to do what to what. There could be performance space, activity space, gallery space, festival space, event space, you could go on and name it. The Camoin study also said to take advantage of New Milford's downtown as a differentiating factor in supporting economic growth, it needs to increase the number of businesses, services, activities, and residential units so there are options to keep people coming back and interested. This project coming before you later tonight does exactly that. The housing that's being proposed has a preference for 55 plus in the new construction portion, and there's a preference for artists and lofts in the second school building's second and third floors, all at affordable price points. It's located near the hospital, the CVS, the senior center, downtown. The Hart bus route even is there, restaurants and services. It's got it all, this location. And as we know, there's some future work that's going to be done by the DOT on Route 202 at the intersection with Elm Street, right there. It's refreshing to see a proposal for housing coming before our town that's going to conform to local zoning, and it's not using the threat of a 4-story concrete, high-density 80-3G complex. The town will continue to own the property, from what I understand of the proposal, and so therefore the town will have a voice in how this is executed because we own the property and we have a developer who's willing to work with the town. That's the beauty of this proposal's concept. I urge the town council to explore this opportunity, and I'm excited for this concept that will make, as we know our mayor loves to say, it will make New Milford, everyone say it, the best town in the USA.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I don't have anybody else from the public this way.
Okay.
All right,
What I'd like to do, Katie,
yes, let's,
if I can, if I like to give out these awards to these two wonderful athletes first.
Let me take a photo.
Yep.
Where are you gonna stand?
We're gonna come over here and is Evelyn and Reagan here tonight? All right, Reagan? Okay, so first I want to tell everybody how proud we are of you. For those that don't know, we have one heck of a gymnast right here. Matter of fact, All-American. And we'd like to, on the town side, we'd like to give you a certificate of recognition to you, Reagan, for being an All-American gymnast in the year 2020. Absolutely outstanding.
This is a momentous.
Yes. All right. Mayor. Wow.
Which is item 7. Nope, sorry, number 8, the Youth Agency report from the Student Advisory Board. I'd like to move them up also to item now. Right now, 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so.
All right, come on up to the youth agency. You guys are up.
Good evening. My name is Alex Wilk, and this is Speak Louder. We're both students at New Milford High School and members of the New Milford Youth Agency Student Advisory Board. Earlier this year, before summer break, Mayor Bass reached out to Student Advisory Board to discuss ideas for teen events that could bring our community's youth together. After brainstorming, the Student Advisory Board, in collaboration with New Milford Parks and Recreation, hosted a Friday the 13th movie night at Lynn Deming this past September. I'm excited to share that the event was a huge success, attracting over 150 local teens. Our goal was to create an event that not only brought teens together, but also provided a safe and enjoyable evening in New Milford. This success demonstrated just how eager our community's youth are for engaging and fun opportunities, and we are excited to build on that momentum. With that in mind, we are currently in the process of planning our second teen night.
We plan to have this event on Saturday, March 1st from 6 to 8 p.m. at CSA. As of right now, the estimated attendance is around 75 to 100 teens. We are planning to invite teens from grades 8 through 12 to reach a larger audience. This event includes inflatables such as bungee run, obstacle courses, carnival games, Hungry Hippo, and a DJ with karaoke. The name we have settled on is Arena After Dark, since it'll be taking place at CSA, and we are hoping to receive donations from Chick-fil-A and or Crumble to incentivize more teens to go. An alternative we are thinking about is pizza from Big Y, or maybe if someone has ideas to share about where we can get donations from.
In addition to our teen night, we're also in the process of planning a Bridging the Gap Safety and Solutions Youth Forum for the end of March to give our youth the opportunity to ask the questions they find pertinent to the corresponding leaders of our town. We're currently compiling a list of our preferred panelists and will be sending out invitations shortly. So on behalf of the Student Advisory Board and the New Milford Youth Agency, I would like to thank you for your ongoing support. We are eagerly planning our upcoming events and look forward to updating you on our progress. Also, Maria will email you with the speeches. We don't have them printed out. So thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great job, ladies. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 4, consent agenda. I'd like to move that we approve item 4, prior minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 5, I'd like to move that we approve the New Milford Fire Marshal's request for permission to accept a donation in the amount of $1,000 from the Water Witch Hose Company No. 2 of New Milford. They would like this donation to be used towards funding future Fire Prevention Day celebrations. The donation would be put towards an appropriate fire marshal account according to the discretion of the finance director.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5B, I'd like to move that we approve the request from the New Milford Youth Agency to accept a donation of $1,000 from Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness opened a new gym in New Milford, and as a way to show its commitment to the local community and its support of area youth, they selected the youth agency and for their donation. The youth agency would also like to participate in their grand opening as a thank you. The awarded money will be deposited into an account recommended by the finance director.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 5C, I'd like to move that we approve a donation to the Friends, from the Friends of Sullivan Farm to Sullivan Farm. This would be an agreed amount to cover 2 full-time positions at the farm for the remainder of this fiscal year. The Friends of the Sullivan Farm are providing funding for 2 full-time positions in the amount of $44,717. This is to be dispersed in the following manner: $37,635 into the personal account number 1044190351000, and the remaining $2,182.83 into the town benefits account. Oh, excuse me, there's a third amount. $5,000 of that to go into the town's medical account.
Second. Your Honor?
Yep.
For the record, that should be personnel, not personnel.
Yep, personnel.
Personnel?
Yep, personnel. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's right. I'm sorry. I read exactly what's in front of me, don't I?
Okay.
Okay, so we
So we have a
have a...
motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 6, mayor's comments.
Thank you. So first, I want to congratulate our Miss New Milford, Jazani Reed, and she won Miss Connecticut Teen U.S. Photogenic Award. So congratulations. She represented New Milford, which was great. So congratulations to her. I also want to congratulate Grayson Tenise for his first place at the league's wrestling tournament. Outstanding job. He's with the New Milford Youth Wrestling Program, and that's the feeder system into our high school. And both of those programs, as we know, do outstanding work. Also want to congratulate Kevin Meskel, as he now is promoted to sergeant from the 143rd MP West National Guard. So congratulations to him. And talking about our high school wrestlers, want to congratulate Alec Olberg, and also want to for him for his 100th wrestling match win, as well as Mr. Reese, who also 100th win. So we have 2 wrestlers in the high school, each celebrate 100 wins. That is amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you to Coach Peel and the entire staff who continue to do that. Also, staying on the wrestling vein, want to congratulate the whole 12U youth wrestling team. They took first place at the Mission Wrestle Winter Classic. First place, Logan Russell. Grayson Tennis took first place. Pedro Brandao took second place. Braden Fleet, first place. William Lambro took second place. As some of the honors there. I wanted to thank Jay Singh, who allowed me to participate in this year's New Milford Cricket Club Awards that was this past Saturday. And for those that don't know, our cricket club is amazing. We have 8 teams, well over 100 kids that play. We have 2 adult teams. We have a women team. We have children's team. And they play all over. One of our players now has moved on to USA Cricket, which is like the USA national team, plays all over the world. And in talking with Coach Jay, 6 of our players are ranked in the top 85 in the country. And for those that don't know, cricket's the fastest growing sport in the world. So it's great to see, and thank you as they continue to do great things for the cricket club. Also wanted to thank, and I know Katie, you were there, wanted to thank the library. Kathy was our librarian, and everyone that came out for the 2nd annual Global Community Day, and that's where a lot of our nonprofit and community organizations came together, and they told the public kind of about what they do. It's a great time, and you know, these type of organizations are the backbone of our community, and they help our community. Also, the Silo, as well as St. John's Church, each have Winter Farmers Market on Saturday mornings. and stopped at the one at the silo because our Park and Rec, we did a pop-up ice skating time there. Had a lot of kids come up and ice skate like they did way back in the day when it was cold all the time. And the reason why I bring it up is first thank Parks and Rec for that, and then also there was a young gentleman there called Nicky Zooks. Doesn't know Mr. Zooks. He is the restaurant ambassador for Bethel. I told him, why don't you come up here, be an ambassador for us, right, Mayor, as well? But he and his family make mozzarella like right there. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. But quite a enterprising young man, and it was great to see him, and congratulations. Also want to congratulate Dino, who owns Greca, as he also is the head chef for the school, the culinary school. It's now at the Silo. And his restaurant, Greca Mediterranean Kitchen and Bar, was one of Connecticut Top Magazine's 25 restaurants, and they are under the Mediterranean, Middle East, Greek category. Also want to congratulate Studio D Tour Dance Company. They performed at Carnegie Hall for the 16th Annual Performing Arts Educational Invitational, and that was under the direction of Rebecca Darling, and she's the owner and artistic director of Studio D, for those who don't know. This was a 31 dancer ensemble. That was amazing. And they ages ranged anywhere from 10 to 18, and they did a piece called Untold Stories. And Miss Darling, Katie, also was awarded the Del Kefner Award, which is a national recognition given annually to an instrumental, choral, or dance director in their mentoring of young students in the performing arts. So amazing. Also wanted to congratulate New Milford Police Officer April, as he became the 2024 New Milford Police Kenneth Couch Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. So congratulations to Officer April. Also, we swore in this past month our two newest New Milford Police officers, Officer Olson and Officer Brunelli, and that brings us up to full staff. Next up, was talked a little bit about last time we were here, and where we are now. It's the budget process. So currently, our municipal budget, and for those that don't know, with the charter change that happened a few years ago, I think it was about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, there is a town budget and a Board of Education budget. Each are independent of their own. The Board of Education had their, and I saw you a couple times there, Alex. Board of Education had their hearings. So the board listened to the superintendent's recommendations. They made a few adjustments to their budget and approved the budget with the recommendations. That turned out to be approximately a 3.93% increase, which is about around $2.9 million increase. That now has moved over to the town side. And what's happening is Olga, our finance director, and myself are meeting with all the town department heads, and we're formulating the town budget. These budgets then will go to the town council and the Board of Finance for a joint meeting. And you'll be able to see those meetings. You're going to watch them on TV, or you can come here when we have them in February. You'll be able to see the dates that are going to be up on the website. So if there's a particular one that you want to listen to, or all of them, please feel free to do so. You can come here, you can watch them, and we'll continue to inform you with that. That's kind of where we are in the budget process as of now. Once the town council, once those budget hearings are adjourned, then the town council holds their budgetary meeting, where they can either take the recommendation, the mayor's recommended budget as is, or they can make recommendations. That then goes to the Board of Finance. Then the Board of Finance holds a public hearing, and they can make any adjustments that they deem, or take what is presented to them and move it forward. They do make recommendations. It can only be by department. It cannot be by line item. Then after that gets approved, it then goes to you, the public, to decide whether to approve or not the budgets as we move forward. And I'll continue to apprise the public as we move forward. And speaking with Chief Ceruto, as we continue to hone in on our traffic enforcement. As we all know, we want to make sure we continue to drive our road system to a safer system. Statistics, the year 25 to the year 24. Motor vehicle stops in the year 24 at this time was 139. So far this year is 273. That's an increase of 134 or 96%. Motor vehicle accidents in 24, this time in 24 was 67. 9 were in parking lots. In the year 2025, it's 60. 11 are in parking lots. That's less 7 or 11%. Last year, as we talked about before, DUIs were much higher. I think that's due to additional traffic stops, and also just DUIs are on the rise nationally, unfortunately. In 2024, at this time, there were 3. Here in 2025, we are at 2. So again, our goal is to continue to drive down these statistics, and that's with vigilance, enforcement, and also self-awareness, where we ourselves take on the responsibility to drive the speed limit, not weaving out, not being on our phones, doing those things to be safe and help one another. Also, we continue to provide free vests for those that are pedestrians or bike riders on our roads. You can pick up that free vest here at Town Hall or the library or the police department. Yesterday I was driving back from a wake, and I happened to see somebody waiting for a bus, and they had on the reflector vest. So that was great.
That's great.
Great to see that. But again, if you're watching here or you know somebody and they're walking without that vest, please tell them to come here. This is something that we were able to get with a grant, and we'd love to give them a vest for that. And then Katie, real quick, some of the events that we have going on here. Also, real quick, I want to congratulate the Milford Gymnastics team.
Oh, yeah.
They won as well. And Reagan, as you can see, All-American. She did very, very well. Placed first on the beam, 4th on the bars, 2nd on the floor, 2nd on all-around. In the vault, Haviland, who I was hoping would be here tonight, the other All-American, she was 4th on the vault, 1st on the bars, 1st on the floor, and 1st all around. So congratulations to the high school gymnastics team. They do amazing. A couple of events that we have going on. January 29th, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Max. The Women's Club is having a hot cocoa bar, and you can help find out what you can do to help the community. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
January 30th, 6 p.m. to 7:30, the library is having songwriting with Dean Bolt. Learn about Handside. February 1st at 10 a.m., I was talking to our children librarian, Sue Ford. They're having ice cream for breakfast program there for the kids. Ice cream for breakfast. Then also, the New Milford Band is doing their winter home show on the 8th, and the doors open at 4 p.m. And the Color Guard, I don't know if anybody's been to these shows, they're amazing. Different groups, high schools come in, and then our percussion, which also is amazing, the Green Heat, they're going to be performing as well. February 28th at 6 p.m. at St. John's Parish Hall, the New Milford Grad Party, and that's the organization that really does the grad party for our seniors. They do a wine and spirits tasting, and those proceeds go to help with that wonderful grad party at the end of the year. March 15th and 16th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Sullivan Farm, Maple Fest. And then March 22nd, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Vintage Mania. And it's going to be a very exciting time. There's a bunch more stuff. Lastly, kind of a shout out, April 11th through April 13th is the convention in a small town called A Weekend in the Life.
Yes.
That's for Gilmore Girls fans. We are having this come into our town, and I believe they sold about 1,000 tickets so far for this great event. And you know, for those that haven't seen, we've had lots of people come into town, and our wonderful bandstand that the Garden Club does such an amazing job
There's all kinds
putting
of
that
things.
together. We have people come and take many, many pictures. There's going to be stars from the show that are going to be there. Theo's Diner is going to turn into Luke's Diner. There's going to be a lot of amazing things. Stay tuned. We're going to have more stuff for that as well.
Oh, yeah.
April 19th, Katie, 9 a.m., Patriots Day. So we've got the Women and Daughters of the American Revolution and the 250 organization
yes.
that we have here in town commission is helping with that. And that's what I have.
That's all?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Item 9, I'd like to move that we approve the following appointments. 9A would be to approve Austin Shackelford to join the Ethics Commission. And
He's currently an alternate.
Oh, he
And
is?
he is going to be moving from an alternate to a permanent position.
Okay, so he would take a regular seat.
Yes.
All right, and that term would be January 27th of 2025 through January 31st of 2026.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And then the,
Thank you.
the added, also, I'd like to move that we approve for Ethics Commission, Susan Fisher, term to be January 27th, 2025 through January 31st of 2026.
What's her political affiliation?
Republican?
Republican, 17 Meredith Road.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Any abstentions? Okay.
All right. Item 10, Public Works. We're going to have a review of the Route 7 traffic audit.
So Chuck talked about the audit at the last meeting and given the town council a couple of weeks to take a look at it. If they had any questions, Chuck kindly came back. So does anybody have any questions for Chuck concerning the road safety audit?
Good
evening, Council.
You tell us.
Okay. So Chuck, just real quick for those that are in the audience and those that are watching, just as a kind of refresher. When we were talking about the school safety zones, which would be at the high school, and then for Route 7, and then Faith Academy. What's the status of that?
All right, so right now, the school safety zone signs are on order. They're expected to ship next week, which will get them delivered tentatively the first week of February. And what it is, it's 14 schools, 14 signs that are being installed. Faith Church, New Milford High School, which includes Larson Road, Old Town Park Road, Carlson Road, Hip Road. It reduces the speed limits during specified portions of the day from 25 to 20, and on Route 7, 45 to 40. This is a way for traffic enforcement to continue their efforts to reduce and lower speeds on Route 7. It'll keep our pedestrians and school children safer walking to school, parents dropping them off at school. So the goal is just to lower speed limits. Signs are bought and paid for, just waiting on delivery now. And getting that frost line to kind of give us a little bit of break. So we'll get them installed. Again, beginning in February, weather permitting, they'll be in there. They'll be controlled remotely, so should a school have an event, high school have a football game, any other schools, they can be actuated for other school events as well, pending traffic authority approval. But it just, again, it's not just, school busiest times, but further events later in the day as well. So that's just one tool that we have that's going to be coming online later this month, beginning next month.
Thank you, Chuck.
Chuck, question. The speed limit is enforced while school is in session, correct? Or do children have to be out of school, walking around?
So the flashing of the sign will be initiated automatically during specific times. It'll be drop off in the morning, pick up in the afternoon. As far as the enforcement goes, that's up to the police department. This is not a automated enforcement. This is just lowering
Right.
the speed limit for those.
But so if it's 1:30 in the afternoon by the high school, will the speed limit that you were talking about going down 5 miles an hour, will that be in effect then? As long as there are children? That's what I've been asked that a lot of times.
So what we did is we reached out to the schools for the busiest times, Faith Church, the high school, etc. They gave us the morning times and the afternoon times.
Okay.
So it's just that 2-hour window in the morning, that 2-hour window in the afternoon, as well as any potentially high traffic.
I see.
Football game gets out, etc.
So the school would be able to pay attention to how many kids would be coming and going, et cetera.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great.
And then we would just have to get notified in engineering for the sports schedule, etc. So we
Good.
can make those adjustments remotely.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Chuck? Thank you, Chuck.
Great job.
Okay.
I have one question.
Oh, yep.
Yes.
Hey, Chuck, so, where are we with the potential for a stoplight at Willow Road?
So,
Willow Springs, sorry.
oh, okay. So right now, the Route 7 safety audit has been uploaded to the website. Just a refresher, you can go to the Department of Public Works website. It's a 69-page document there. One of the recommendations through this process is to revisit the traffic study. Well, to encourage the Connecticut DOT to revisit the traffic study that was done quite a while ago to today's traffic counts and turning movements. So what we're working on doing is putting some pressure on Connecticut DOT, because Route 7 is a state-owned road, to now go back and agree to perform this traffic audit and see what the numbers are now. Even as a municipality and a town, we're not allowed to put in a traffic signal without doing a traffic study and getting state approval. So now we're going to put pressure on the state to again revisit that particular intersection, as well as all the other recommendations in this document. And
So what is putting pressure look like?
Would be, Chris, I would be talking to our delegation, our state senator, our state representatives, who are all on board. And the good news is the state actually agreed there should be a light there.
is that the the elected officials were at this road safety audit, so they were aware of the traffic conditions and our concerns. They were very well highlighted in this road safety audit. So we'll be making calls to Connecticut DOT, and I encourage New Milford residents to reach out to their state legislature again and just demand some action on this to make Route 7 in particular.
So Pete, can we get maybe some written reports from our state reps on what they're doing and how successful they are in getting
Absolutely.
this implemented?
Yep. They're starting to go into session now, Chris.
Right. Right now, and how's the not?
Absolutely. Okay.
Thank you, Chuck.
So Chuck, now we're going to go to B,
Yes. Okay.
which is Kennewood Lake Road South is a scenic road, for those that didn't know.
Right. So I would like to move that we approve the formation of an advisory committee named Candlewood Lake Road South Scenic Road Committee.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
And for a 3-month term, which would start on January 27th, 2025, and run through April 25th, 2025. Now, I have to read this, according to the ordinance, the advisory committee shall consist of 6 electors of the town and shall include a member of the town council, a member of the planning commission, the director of public works or his designee, town director of community planning and economic development, or if that position is not filled, or if he or she is not an elector of the town, such other member duly appointed, and 2 representatives existing as landowners along the scenic road. We already have on the road committee, advisory committee, the following, we have 5 landowner representatives.
4.
Steve.
You have 4.
What happened? Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck, you don't look there. Steve Paduano, Doris Coleman, Ron D'Ambrosio, and Lori Hutchison. Representing Public Works would be Chuck Ballard. Planning Commission would be Mr. Murphy. Is that correct? And we could use somebody from the town council.
How about you, Katie?
Anybody else champing at the bit to want to do that?
Oh, you
Okay.
can put me on.
Right,
Oh,
Sal?
thank you, Sal. Thank you, Sal. Okay. And that leaves economic development or a designee.
Yep, we'll get that.
We'll get that later. Okay, so there you have it. That's the motion.
Do I have a second on the motion?
Katie, that was item C, so you're doing B first and then C, or B and C together?
I can't hear a word you're saying.
That was item C. You're doing B and C together in one motion?
Yep.
Yeah, I just put them together because
Okay.
it didn't make any sense.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Thank you,
Any
Tom.
discussion on the motions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay.
Thank you, Chuck.
Item 11, we have a Parks and Recreation, there's Dan Calhoun. I'd like to move that we take action on approving the Parks and Recreation fees.
As
that-
presented.
Dan, what?
Yep, Dan's here. Dan?
Hello, everyone. If you have any questions?
Any questions? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
That was easy.
Very easy, Dan. Perfectly put. Item 12, I'd like to move that we authorize the mayor to enter into contract discussion with Claire White's Architects LLP, doing business as WXY Architect and Urban Design for design, engineering, and planning services for the riverfront revitalization.
Thank you. And Randy, for edification and for the minutes. Did you review this contract?
I did.
And is this a legal?
As I revised it?
Yes. Okay. So our town attorney approved that. And Randy, just for the record, how many years have you been town attorney?
Yeah, other than 7 months. Forever.
23 years.
Okay. And how many years have you been, and what other towns do you also represent?
I represent a lot of towns.
I know that.
Quite a few.
I represent the town of New Milford, I represent the town of Warren, the town of Washington, the town of Connecticut, the town of Sharon, the town of North Canaan, and I do all the freedom of information litigation for the city of Danbury, and I'm special counsel to a lot of towns.
Thank you, Randy. In your opinion, this is a...
Best you're gonna get.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, so the motion is second. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Alex?
What's the cost relative to this decision tonight? The cost to the town making this vote tonight?
The cost? Let's see. I think this is a grant we received, so.
Yeah, we had a engineering.
Hey, Mayor, how much is the contract for? That's by council.
I have to have a little review if you'd like to hear it.
Not all of it.
Not all of it, Katie.
No, the question was, I don't know if you were here, Lee, but.
Yeah, I had to step out. It was kind of-
Alex asked a specific question about
Yes.
what is the. what
Cost
counts
to the town.
Potential cost.
$449,000 and $550. So about $450,000.
And that money's already been set aside.
And was that from ARPA?
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
Mayor?
Any other questions, or do you want me to?
No. Sure.
I mean, you know, on October 25th, the town of New Milford's Purchasing Authority put out to bid an RFP for design, engineering, and planning services for Riverfront. The plan is to refine the conceptual design and strengthen the function, sense of place, economic vitality, et cetera, and to help guide public and private investment within the riverfront. The project will begin with and include continually throughout the process intense, robust public participation. That was a key thing in our RFP, mentioned several times. The deliverables will include, but not be limited to, actual filing surveys and topos of all the properties, identification of key design elements to be included in the final development, roadway designs with phased construction options for Young's Field and other pedestrian walkways, bike paths within the project area, plans for the agreed upon design of the park and other publicly owned space along the riverfront, plans, cost estimates, and a list of relevant permitting needed for the planned development improvements. Currently, this property, I'm sure you recall, is the subject of a brownfields assessment that is being performed by the Corporation for Economic Development, the Public Works Facilities portion of the project. So that will then be ready in time for us to take into consideration as we go and plan ahead. A total of 3 proposals were received on December 5th, 2024, and distributed to committee members. On December 10th, the committee met and we discussed the proposal and decided to invite all 3 proposers in for interviews. The interviews were conducted on December 16th and 18th. Public Works Director Jack Healy joined our committee because he's an integral part of this whole project, and Mayor Bass participated in 2 of the interviews. Consultants brought key members of their team and were asked to share a short presentation, and then we had direct interaction, discussion, and questions and answers. The interviews ranged from about an hour to an hour and a half. The committee then met on December 19th, and it was a unanimous vote, including our Public Works Director and our advisory member, Marjorie Feldberg, that we vote to recommend to the purchasing authority the contract be awarded to WXY for the following reasons. Their proposal was on budget, meeting our timetable. It was consistent with the objectives of the RFP. It contained, as I said, robust and inclusive community engagement based on collaboration, which is the key to success of the project. The team that's going to be working on this is very robust, has a deep bench of experience and specialties. And they all presented exceptionally well at the interview. And there was a clear understanding from WXY of the project, of the town, of the needs, and of what we're expecting from them. During the interview process, the consultant team demonstrated professionalism, exuberance, and a clear understanding, again, of the project and the process. Their public engagement skills were self-evident, and there was clearly a cohesive, collaborative, enthusiastic relationship between the team members, which translated to the committee as well. They were expressive, visionary, and creative. And they were thinking ahead, so like, what are you going to do after this? So they're already putting in steps for us to start thinking about how we proceed. The principal in charge was knowledgeable and authentic, and engaged all of the committee members. And that's basically, everything else. There was one estimate that was well over budget. They came in with a proposal of $450 approximately, but they forgot to include the surveys. Those were extras. So that was not an extra in our opinion, so that disqualified them. And we felt that the other agency, while it was a good company, was just not, didn't have the synergy that we were looking for. And the price was the same, so it wasn't that we were, not taking the low.
Wait, was that something you want to put in the minutes, whatever you just read there?
Pardon me?
You want to put that in the minutes, whatever you just read there?
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, just check.
Okay.
We have a motion and we have a second.
Alex, do you have another question?
Any questions?
Well, I have concerns. I've been approached by a number of people. The town has changed and is changing, and the concern is that they haven't had an opportunity to say yes or no at a referendum with regard to the entire project, and that money is being spent each year toward getting all the information together to create the plan to vote on, but in the meantime, they haven't had a chance to actually vote on whether to move the project forward. Now, I know the complexity of that, but it's a fair question. There are people who don't want to do that because we have other things to take care of first.
Well, this money is appropriated for this purpose. If we don't use it for this purpose, it goes back. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, that's a fact. So, for that reason, I wouldn't not do this. I think that the public will, again, have a lot of opportunity to engage in the project. And then when it comes to any kind of spending, doing whatever, that falls within the town's, purview, their regular budgetary process per the charter. So, Riverfront Committee can't go out and commit money. Only the town can do that. and so people will have a right to vote at that time.
And leave it, didn't the last two POCDs had
Yes,
support for this?
Yes.
So that is taking into consideration a broad swath of the people in New Milford.
Right, it was in 2010.
Yes,
It was the
I-
first
so both-
iteration, I remember.
Yeah.
And then the one we just did in 2021. And also, if you look at our economic development website that we looked at a couple months ago now, you'll see that that's also, a chapter in there. So it is something that is out there, and hopefully we'll have success in doing some public-private ventures then as well, and doing what the town would like.
That was 15 years ago.
And what was 15 years
So
ago?
it started in 2010, is what I'm saying.
No, this started
We just did
before
it
that. We're just talking about the plan of conservation
Right.
and development we had in 2010 and 2020 was fully supported by this, but by a majority of the people that came out to those public hearings.
And how many people were at those meetings?
Hundreds and
gosh.
hundreds of them. I
And
have
it was
not- I
too-
haven't-
so if it-
the
if it
thousands
was-
of people I represent here, I haven't heard one person who's down.
Life has changed for everyone.
That's right, and that's why we're gonna kind of start from scratch and ask the public to come. I hope that you all come to our public sessions and give us your input and participate in the charrettes. And, so that your opinion is there. They will present alternative after alternative. There's public comment, there's public participation, there'll be surveys. There will be so much public input. And that will be in 2025, not in 2010 or 2021.
It's important.
Okay, and also, Alex, the world changes every day. So, you can't just sit and wait for the world not to change, because it's always going to change. So you try to keep up with the times, and that's why we're starting the iterative process of public participation and input again.
I wanted that on the record. Thank you.
It's on the record, it's in writing, in the RFP, it's all over the place.
Mary Jane?
Yeah, I have some concerns also. We had Mr. Kapsiak here. He sent quite a detailed list of concerns he has about this contract with the consultant, and I feel like he's been totally ignored. And I wanted to know if you went over what he sent you.
So, Mary Jane,
did you take any consideration into it? That's one concern.
So I'll address that first concern. So I actually defer to our town attorney with as many years and experience as he has, who's sitting right next to you. And he stated that that's a good contract.
Did you review Mr. Kapsiak's?
No, I don't take advice from Mr. Kapsiak, and I don't negotiate my advice.
Well, so it wasn't.
So, Mary Jane, I have a question to ask you. What is your concern of Randy's opinion to us tonight as our town
I
attorney?
value Randy's opinion, but I also value Mr. Kapsiak's opinion, and I think he spent a lot of time on this, and I feel like it hasn't been taken into consideration also. That's one part of it.
So,
okay?
Mary Jane, I disagree with you taking into consideration. I think you're creating a false narrative.
No, I'm not.
I think
creating
the
a
fact.
false narrative.
I think the
And
fact.
I take issue to that comment.
Well, you just said that we didn't. You just said that we did not take his email into consideration.
You didn't. That's what
How-
Randy just said.
how-
Randy
how-
said he doesn't.
no,
do
well,
that.
Randy- right.
Randy didn't take it into
Right.
consideration. Okay, so that's one thing. My other concern is that, this whole riverfront thing is predicated on DPW moving to Century Grass. There's still a lot of issues. It hasn't been approved by DEP yet, and there apparently are some issues, and I just feel like you're putting the horse
Okay. So, Mary Jane.
before the horse here.
Mary Jane, I know you were involved in the affordable housing complex that was over here by Big Y, right? Indian Fields. And you also the affordable housing project that's off of Second Hill.
It's supportive housing.
No, correct. Okay. So those things needed a plan. Am I correct?
Yes, you don't.
And that plan you needed to bring forth to whether it been that board or the bank that loaned the money, and they needed to see that to make a decision. We could not go to the public and say, hey, here's a great opportunity to spend your money without any kind of plan, without any kind of thought process. And unfortunately, I don't have the experience, nor anyone around here on this board, has the experience to give us those numbers, the rationale, and how we move forward. And I did have another thing which I thought was really good. I sat on a good show. As a matter of fact, it was at Max Theater Works. They did a presentation on downtown New Milford. And what I thought was really cool, do you know why they call Church Street? That's like right here. Do you know why?
No idea. Was there a church there? Possibly.
Absolutely. You know what church was there?
No
St. John's Church. But you know something? They moved it. They moved it right up the street. And you know what? There were a lot of different things that were around New Milford, right? And change happened. And you want to know something? Sure looks like a beautiful town to me.
I'm not talking about change. I'm talking
Well, change
about
was just mentioned.
All right, she mentioned it. I didn't say it. Okay. So what I'm saying is that I have a lot of concerns about whether the DPW is going to get approval to even move over to Century Brass. Hence, opening up the property for the riverfront project. So I just feel like there's so many questions still that perhaps we shouldn't be,
I disagree. I think there's a lot of great opportunity here. And with opportunity, the taxpayers and everyone needs to know. And here's a vision that the public can or cannot want to get involved in. And it's going to ultimately be up to them. But they need every bit of information to make that decision properly. And this gives them more opportunity, more information to make that decision.
Okay, so we've had a second, and we've had a lot of discussion. We've heard for about, I don't know, the 13th time. Thank you, Liba. You're so pleasant when you tell us about it. So we have a second from Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Any other discussion on the motion?
Hey, Pete, I have a couple questions.
Chris?
Yep. So, Lima, you mentioned about the budget, and one was over, a couple were close. How was the budget derived?
They actually had to give us the most intricate spreadsheet you can imagine. They had to list every function, every person, every hourly rate, and every number of hours. So we have a spreadsheet. Jack had to print them out on engineering-sized paper so that we could read them and look at them and analyze them. So, for example, we know exactly who and how much money. Yeah.
It sounds like before you got any replies, you had a budget in mind, correct?
We had money that the mayor had set aside, and we're very fortunate that the bids came in to match that, closely match that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then X, Y, and Z, or WXY, what do they have experience in this sort of project in a town similar to our size?
I would say that some of the towns, they work in cities, I'll be honest. They work in towns. They have an incredible amount of experience from architecture to landscape design. They have planning experience. They will be working with an engineering firm by the name of Lanigan, which is based here in Connecticut, and is a really good engineering firm. They work in other countries as well, but they really love this project, and they loved working on the first iteration of it, and I think that they will be incredibly good on this one.
I guess my only advice to the Riverfront Committee is I remember, I think a couple consultants ago, there was somebody came in from New York City, and quite frankly, their product was really off the mark. And rightfully so, you got a lot of public opinion, which I think stated that, and the committee kind of went back, I think it was another consultant after that, and you guys really kind of got back on track. So I would just really just advise you to ensure that these people, listen more than talk.
Yes, they will. And actually, there's a number of, it's scheduled that there will be bi-weekly meetings with the committee throughout the entire process. They will also be meeting with the development services team to make sure that they're working in conjunction with our rules and our regulations, and We'll be guided by the DST as well.
And those meetings are available for anybody to come and sit and listen to. Is that correct, Liba?
Our meetings?
All the ones you
Absolutely.
just mentioned, just like this meeting.
Pete, is the DST open to the public?
Sure. I mean, in this it would be, I would imagine.
Yep.
Yeah. I can't imagine that there'd be any question that wasn't asked.
Any?
Call this question here?
Yes?
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention.
Where were you, Chris? For or again?
I said aye.
Good, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Liba.
Thank you.
Yep, Doug said yes.
Okay, item number 13, report from our finance director.
Good evening, members of the Town Council, members of the public. I'm here to present the 6 months report in regards to our budgetary performance for the fiscal year 25. So 6 months into the fiscal year, we are showing strong results on our revenue side. We can start with that. So interest rates are still where we want them to be. They are showing a moderate decline, but still favorable. They're still above 4%, so that definitely helps us to meet our budgetary target. We have 2 interest income accounts in our budget. If you look at the stiff interest, you will see that we pretty much met our budgetary target. We are about 1.2 million already for the first 6 months. So the upcoming 6 months of the fiscal year basically will be will exceed our budgetary target. Speaking of interest, as a treasurer, it was one of my aspects to focus on maximizing town resources and investments. So I did overlook our funding sources and analyzed guidelines that came with those funding sources, and I was able to identify additional funds eligible to earn interest that goes into our general fund. So I'm happy to report some of the positive results. Those changes did bring in about $49,000 of additional interest just for 2 months, November and December, and we'll keep earning, for the remainder of the year. I have 2 other initiatives in progress right now. This is more goes to changing our fee structure with our current bank, Webster Bank. So that should yield some positive results that we should see in the upcoming months. All other departments are performing on target where they want to be. Building permits are exceeding, 50% mark, so that's great. Town clerk receipts are also on budget. So, do you have any questions? I didn't have questions. So overall, collection rate is high, similar to the prior year performance, so no concerns there. Still no additional revenue from the state. If you recall, in the last 2 years, we have received unanticipated state revenue due to the collections that exceed state budget for sales tax, and all municipalities in Connecticut received distributions from their municipal revenue sharing account. Unfortunately, this year, state will not be putting those distributions to municipalities. They reallocated funds for other uses. But the great news that that line or that revenue was not part of our budget, so it does not present any concerns as far as meeting our target. Disappointing, but we're still showing, we're still on target for our budget.
Great.
Any questions for Olga? Thank you, Olga. Great job.
On
Thank you.
expenditure, thank you. If we move on to the expense revenue, similar, no issues to report. 6 months into the fiscal year, you should see our personnel lines at about 50%. Some may be slightly over. That is something we knew about. Some of the payments may have been upfronted, some are longevity payments. Some departments, the larger ones, police, public works, we do see some normal fluctuations as they go through staffing changes. But generally, for the departments themselves, we do not see any potential issues, material issues. So that's great, 6 months into the year. And I'll take some questions.
Thank you, Olga.
On other note, our budget was.
I think somebody had a question, okay?
Chris, you have a question?
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, Doug, I think.
For Doug.
No?
So, can you give me the balance of the land management fund, please?
Sure. Current balance is about 22 million.
Okay, and you have a balance on the term fund?
I'll have to look it up, but I believe it's around 600,000 by now.
Okay, and we're putting that term money into like a savings account, something like sitting there, or no?
Yes, that yes, town makes appropriation every year through the budget, and those funds are transferred into our capital reserve, and that fund earns interest because there are other transfers that are made into capital reserve.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Olga? Thank you, Olga.
On another note, just to let you know, our fiscal year 24 audit was complete. It was presented to the Board of Finance. The audit is available online. It was uploaded. Positive results, no material weaknesses or deficiencies. This is the best as it can get. So very exciting with that. You know, there were some verbal recommendations, a couple of written recommendations from the auditors. They do not present material deficiencies, but it's just some other improvements that we may consider. Couple for the town, a few for the Board of Education. So that's something that we will be addressing internally. It's not uncommon. We've had similar recommendations in the past. Some are carried forward, but it's something that we'll be addressing.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you, Olga.
Okay. Next is presentation of the East Street project.
Right.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm honored to be here. My name is Joseph Alone. I am an architect and also a developer, but I would say that I worked long and hard to receive a license in architecture, and I have been in private practice for, it's actually 40 years this month. I am a multifamily housing expert. I studied architecture at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, and I apprenticed for two of the most prestigious multifamily architectural firms in New York City before I went on my own in 1985. My practice is really multifamily housing. Really, that's all I do. We don't do churches or schools or hospitals. The only other thing is I am not an All-American. I just want to go on the record. Okay, so, Mayor, this will take 10 or 15 minutes. I realize you have a long agenda. I'll walk through it. Sometimes if I go too fast, we can come back and ask questions, but there is a logic to this. I want to start with what's on the board now. This is the site survey for the East Street School. And you'll notice that there is a fence along here. This survey is not a topographic survey, so you really can't read the contours, but this fence really delineates a very sharp drop down in the elevation of the property. Right now there's an entrance off of East Street here that takes you up. It's a vehicular entrance. There's a pedestrian walkway off the street, and then the side sort of is just a sort of green area that is really not serving any purpose at the moment. And there's an existing driveway that leads you out onto the side street. And I want to point out right over here, this is where TheaterWorks is, this little spot right over here. Okay. Next. No, this one right here. Okay. Let's see if you can move it to the next.
I'm sorry, say again?
You can just roll through these real quick. If you want to see on page one, you should be able to look at this. Yeah. If you go here, you should be able to roll here. Yeah. So basically, approaching a project like this, we were fortunate enough to get our hands on the original 1930s architectural drawings, which we found. We can move past the next one if we can go to number 2. So, you know, as you look, you'll see that one of my goals is to try and restore this building to, you know, what it was originally. There's some area in the basement. Go to the next one, please. Right. So here's your main entrance, and there are these 2 side entrances on either side that take you upstairs. This is looking down at the existing gymnasium with the stage area here, and then there's a kitchen on the side here, and there a little workshop area here. At the time, this space and this space in 1933 were unexcavated. They have since then been excavated, and they're now actually spaces that are being used. Next one, please. Okay, so this area here is the upper area where you enter into the building, and there were classrooms. There were 4 classrooms in the corner, and then this space is the gymnasium, which is really a double height space. So what you're looking at here is the upper level of the school, and this is the upper level of the stage. But as you come through the front door, there's a staircase right here, which is very hard to read, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You'll see it on my drawings when we get there. Next one, please. Okay, and very simply, the northern stair has the I think it's the northern stair. No, it's the southern stair that has the stained glass window. Which,
Oh, it's a north.
and you know, I'm glad I didn't put people to sleep already. So the northern stair is the one that has the spectacular stained glass window, which of course we want to preserve. But then we also have this beautiful WPA mural that's high up in the ceilings, which of course that will also be restored. Now, I'm showing you this because our design solution basically will work with all of these existing walls. So the idea here is not to go in and gut the building. The idea is to go in and do what I refer to as minimally invasive surgery, which is we're going to leave the classrooms where they are. In fact, if you look at what this is here, there are 2 partitions. These were the original walls from 1930, and we're going to put these walls back to where their original location is, and you'll see that when we get further in the design. Keep going, please. Yeah. Okay, and this is actually just the upper floor, and it's a boys' room and a girls' room, and these are really just the classrooms. And then we can just walk through this, but you can just see, you can just kind of walk through these. You know, here's your original, wait, go back one more. Your original facade, right? Beautiful. We have all this information. It's all right here at our fingertips that we're going to work with to restore the building. Keep going back, please. Right, your side elevation, right? Keep going, right. One more, right there, stop. So, look, here's our original stage details. This is what the stage was built in 1933. It's really amazing, right? And then this gives a cross-section through the building showing you the lower level, and then there's this portion down here which I wanted to show you, which is the area under the stage where the boiler and the boiler room was, and this is the chimney. And keep going, please. Okay. And then just original details. I think we're going to move beyond that now. Mac, let's jump over now to the site plan option sketch right there. So, like any other architect, you know, I like to do my homework before I get involved. So I read through the 2019 study, and I found it interesting. You can look up here. There are several ideas. This is showing you again the site. Next sketch, please. Yep. Go back one. One more. Forward. Yes. So these were some of the solutions that kind of made my eyes bulge out. I thought, I looked at this and you know, 117 units and so forth and so on, and I read this and I looked at this site and I thought, this is incredibly over-designed, and a second building back here made no sense to me. Next one, please. And then this one again, very sort of simple parking area, but then, you know, a L-shaped building with the massing of the building adjacent to the single-family residence. That didn't make any sense to me either. So then, let's jump over to our first one, our study here. Right. So, move up, please. Thank you. So here's what we are proposing now. Now, first, I would say that we're going to keep the vehicular entrance on this area here. And at this point, we are going to create a 10-foot wide pedestrian boulevard with a colonnade of trees that lead us back to this little corner right here and to also to TheaterWorks. And the concept is vehicles on one side, pedestrians on the other. And I want to create a colonnade of trees. It's very hard to see, but a little archway here and maybe a little marquee telling the community what events are going on and in which location. There's obviously a tremendous symbiotic relationship between you know, what we've been calling in the office the ESCC, which is the East Street Cultural Center. So it makes perfect sense to create a location in this area and a pedestrian mall that ties back in and gives the TheaterWorks a area for, you know, sort of intermission and nice weather to come out and congregate and so forth, as obviously they have parking here. Now, this building is not the original building that I submitted to the mayor several weeks ago. The original building was going to be a 4-story podium structure with 78 units. After, you know, we don't get it right the first time, and it's okay. You know, when you read a great book, you have to realize that the author just didn't sit down once, type it up, and send it to the printer. So, you know, getting involved and realizing that the building felt too big to us, so we've decided to cut this down to a slab-on-grade, 3-story building with 40 units. So we went from 78 to 40 units. And we think that this really enhances the site. It has a better scale and more sensitivity to the neighborhood. And, you know, we're coming in here. This is sort of the main entrance, and you'll see this when I get to the drawings. There's a main entrance here that doesn't just sort of slam into the face of the building. There's a porte cochere under the building, and then there's one-way parking with surface parking around. This, we were able to add more parking in this location, you can see, and then this parking pretty much stayed the same. But I would say, because I know the comment came up earlier in the evening, I do, you know, parking is always an issue, and I do think that, you know, having the cultural center in coordination with TheaterWorks, I think there will have to be scheduling coordination. I think that's what you want. I mean, you know, when the Rangers play in the Garden in the afternoon, they have to take the ice up so the Knicks could play that night. So I think you have to, you know, coordinate your scheduling so that you're not having two massive events at the same time. I think it's only logical. And if from my lips to God's ears that this is so successful that the parking lot is always packed, I think the town, the mayor will have to give some thought. Maybe there's additional parking at the hospital, so forth, but we're not here to solve that tonight. We're here to present this design. So, next drawing, please. Okay, so this is the lower level. This is the area that will be the cultural center. Now, if you'll notice here, this is the only new construction that I'm proposing. I'm proposing an entrance back here. Remember, on this side is that 10-foot wide pedestrian boulevard. So we're creating a new entrance here with a little outside seating area. There's a kitchen in this location, which will remain, or will be, I think, repurposed as a kitchen. There's a little ticket box here for a ticket window, and there's a little window here, I think maybe for food service if we're not allowing food inside the gymnasium. The gymnasium floor will be refinished, but it will stay in place. The theater, the stage area will be obviously cleaned up and will remain in place. We pick up an office over here that I think could be a great use. I'm not going to, you know, suggest at this point what the Cultural Commission wants to do. I have suggestions because I've worked on this for several months now. Maybe this is a pottery studio. Maybe this is just a classroom of some sort. This area could be some basic storage. In this corner, we're proposing new men's and women's rooms. some chair storage here, and these are your 2 exits outside. So you have really 4 means of egress. One is out this way, one is out this way, one is up the stair, and one is up the stair here. And in this area, we're proposing very much what you're seeing built in new schools today, sort of some permanent wood seating that would sort of allow you to sort of, be a little higher up if there's an event going on at the stage, that you can really have a better view for it. Or someone could really be standing right here and talking. Maybe if there's a group of school children who come in, they can be sitting in these little bleachers, and someone can be standing there and speaking to them. Next slide, please. So, here's a perspective of what I think standing on the stage. You can see in the background, we have some clear story windows that are existing. Notice we put these on wheels to be moved around. We did this perspective with the idea that there's an art show going on. And in the back, you'll see here's our elevator. And this area, as I said, you can see would be used for, sort of a raked seating area, if you will. Next slide, please. Now, here.
And sir, did you say this part here you're looking at is a new build? This is a kind of an addition to the existing building?
No, go back, please. The only addition is just this little corner right here, if you can see that. Only because I think you need a formal entrance, and something that you'll see later on as you come around with your car, you will see that there's a roof overhang here that has some signage, and it lets a visitor know that this is the entrance to the main space. So that's the only.
Thank you.
Yes. Next, please. Yes, go back there. There you go. So this is the space that I really would like to bring back. This, believe it or not, right here where I'm pointing to is the boiler room. It has a very high ceiling. And this is covered from the exterior right now. There's that bump if you've ever been in the back. And that bump, at one point in time, someone covered the stairwell that used to take you from the grade level down to this boiler room. And then here's the old coal storage. And these were the boys' lockers and showers. And there are windows in these spaces that I think just should be brought back to life. And I think this area will provide, now the only thing is we don't have ADA accessibility, we can't get an elevator down here. Maybe this is an office for people who are, managing the space or so forth. Maybe it's storage. You do have a direct access, maybe it could be a classroom. I'm not there yet. I just do think that this is a space that's certainly worth capturing. Next, please. So here's a perspective from the other side, standing by these built-in bleachers, and I have a speaker shown here on the stage. We have some seating along here. We have the flag of New Milford. We have, this will be right in the corner is really where the main entrance. You'll come in from this area here. This door is to the kitchen, and back through here is where the restrooms are. So this gives you an idea of the flexibility. We should have some theater lighting here to align this. Whether this is just a speaker or whether this becomes theater is, really, whatever the cultural committee decides they want to do. But I think you can see that it's a versatile space. Next slide, please. And now I'm going to take you to the outside and the main entrance. Now, this is the main entrance of the building. We'll probably have to put a handicap ramp here, which that's okay. We'll come in, and this is the main stair that takes you up to the second floor, or they actually call it the first floor. The way they labeled, by the way, I just used what was on the 1930s drawings. It's not probably the way we would do it today, but I thought I would just stay consistent with what they did. So they're calling this the ground floor, and then they're going to call the upstairs the first floor, which is a little confusing, but you will have to stay with it. Again, new entrance area, existing stair. This is an elevator, and then we'll have our mailboxes here for the tenants. Coming in from this side, you will have an apartment on this side, an apartment, so you've got 4 studio apartments in the corner. Now, there are 21 units proposed in this building, and this building is proposed to be an artist in residence, meaning first precedence is given to artists, hopefully artists who are practicing. We'd love to see painters, sculptors, musicians, writers, but they will have to meet the area median income because these are also going to be deed restricted as affordable. So the town will get credit for all 21 of these units going against their, state mandated 10% required housing that, you have not met the goal, and so this will go toward your goal. Here you see the new roof of the entrance below. But this is very straightforward, and as you can see, we're really not touching a lot of these walls. We're working within these classrooms, and we're building a kitchen, we're building a bathroom. Next, please. So, coming up the main stair, main entrance of the building, this area will be sort of community space for the residents. There's a table here in what was designed to be the superintendent, the principal's office was here. This was administrative. So here we're going to have a little seating area with a flat screen where people can come and watch the Super Bowl. There's a toilet room here, and then we have 1-bedroom apartments on the perimeter and some studio apartments within. This is the area along here where the WPA mural is above the lockers. That will stay. You'll notice all these walls that are in black are all existing walls that we're really not touching. We're going to work within, and you can see these are the 2 walls that I put back that were from the original 1930s building. Next, please. And then this is the second floor, so you would pop out the elevator or come up through the stairwells. Again, you'll have 1-bedroom units in the corners, and then you'll have some studio spaces here. So you'll have, these are really what I consider, artist lofts. They're loft spaces. They're designed for, we're leaving the existing wood floors, we're leaving the ceilings. What we will be doing is we will be putting new plumbing, new electrical, new heating, maybe new windows, I'm not sure. This building qualifies for historic tax credits, so if those interested in how we're going to finance this, it'll have a complex capital stack that will include low-income housing tax credits, state historic tax credits, federal historic tax credits, and some soft money from DOH, hopefully, to help us fill the gap. And that's how we're going to finance this. Okay, next please. Now, I'm going to take you to the back, and then this building is the new building that is our latest, and I think I call it Residence 55 and older version 2.0. So you'll really drive in this way. Under the building here, you have a natural porte cochere. You'll pop out here. You have an elevator. You have a lobby area, a community room with an outside terrace that kind of faces south, which I think is beautiful. You'll have several apartments on the first floor. Then jumping through here, you'll have a little fitness center, which the artist from across the driveway will be able to use. We have a little management office for leasing. We have a little laundry room and so forth. And then we have apartments on this side. Next, please.
That's the building behind us.
That's the new building, yes. And then on the second and third floor, you'll come up through the elevator. There's a staircase here. There's a staircase here, and you'll just have 2-bedroom units in the corner, 1-bedrooms and studios and so forth. And this building will total 40 age deed restricted, first preference 55 and older. And the reason why, since this is using public funding, we are not allowed to just discriminate. The Fair Housing Act comes into play. So the correct way to really word this is to say that this is first precedence for 55 and older. It's 40 units. If we have 80 applicants, it's not going to be a problem. But we can't be in a position whereby if only 20 people show up who are 55 and older, we can't keep the building empty. I mean, it's not my rule. That's the rule of CHFA, since they're going to be financing the project. And then the last slide, please. Now, here is what your entrance will look like from the outside. Here is your pedestrian, 10-foot wide pedestrian walkway. Here's our colonnade of trees. This area here, you go in. This little window is I call it concession window on the inside. This is our ticket window. This may be lighted. I'm not really sure. I'm not there yet. But you can see it's designed to be very contemporary. It sits proud of the main building, so as you drive around the corner, you will see the lighting, you will see the signage, and you'll know exactly where you want to be. And then again, there's some seating area, and then this pedestrian way continues down this way and links in with Theater Works.
I have a question with this. Why would you put the East Street Cultural Center on the back of the building instead of the front?
Well, it's the main entrance.
Exactly. The main train is coming from the street, from the Route 7. Why would it be this?
Because that's how you get into the
Well,
cultural part. The up part is all apartments, it's people living there.
Right, and not only that, there is a marquee. There'll be, remember I showed you on the site plan, there will be a marquee out front. Hopefully a lighted marquee that basically says, maybe it says what's going on at Theater Works, what's going on. I kind of vision it as being, again, it's not my decision, we'll work this out. I don't want to get caught up in the weeds here.
Right.
But, I think you could have, if you look at this, you could have a big marquee and maybe it says, tonight at the Cultural Center, this, and this is going on at whatever, 7 o'clock. Tomorrow at Theater Works, this is going on. So people know, as they drive by, they'll be able to visually see what's going on as they pass by.
I have
access to the ground floor from the front.
You don't have access to the ground floor from the front. There is an elevator, but the elevator is really designed primarily with the idea that, well, first of all, I need it for the upper floors, but second of all, my imagination is that there's going to be a sculptor and they're going to make sculptures or they're going to make large paintings. And how are they going to get them down to the art gallery? So they're going to put them in the elevator and they're going to take them down to the gallery. So the elevator serves as a vertical circulation for the artists within the building. But you will not enter the cultural center through the front entrance. You'll enter the cultural center through this main entrance that has, I like to think, a little bit of snap to it.
Mr. Vallone, my question is, as we talk about the back, you show the front of the building. I know this building really well. Went to school there, and I see all the things you want to do, and I think it's wonderful. However, the parking is in the back. I'm an artist. I've got my easels, I got my paints, I got my frames and canvases and models and all the things they need. You're going to schlep all the way around to the front of the building. How are you going to get that?
What do you mean? If I live in the building?
Yeah, even if you're, yes, if you have one of the artist's residences, right?
That's why we have the elevator.
Yes, but you're talking about making the front entrance.
Yes.
Right, so I'm coming to see an artist, so I'm gonna park in the back and I'm gonna walk all the way around. That's kind of how it's been since it's not been a school, and I can tell you that it is really inconvenient. And, it does rain and snow here. So I'm just curious as to if you can get upstairs through this backside, which you're going to create in the corner, which is great.
Yes.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have an entrance, I guess, a personnel entrance or a pedestrian entrance, but wouldn't it make more sense to be able to bring your things up from here where you're going to park?
Well,
I'm not talking about the parking problem, I'm just talking about the schlepping of stuff, because that's a fact when you have artists.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying is, if you were, there are parking for the people who live in, the artists who live in the building. There is parking in the front. Maybe you missed that on the site plan.
You mean you're going to take the front lawn? I don't understand, that's the thing I don't get.
Yeah.
Did you make parking in the front of the building?
Yes.
Oh, so we don't have the lawn. Oh, how many are they?
I think there's 11.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's 21 units, and then I think this is going to be dedicated. This will be so they'll be dedicated here and they'll be dedicated here.
The ones in the back are the ones that I'd rather ask you the question. So will be half of the front, which is lawn now, right?
Yes.
So half of it I'll be parking.
Yes.
All right, and then on the other side, which we call like the CVS side or whatever, that's going to stay green space?
Yes, this is pedestrian. This is a 10-foot wide pedestrian boulevard, I call it, that has a colonnade of trees, and it has, really plantings and so forth that I think will make this experience of coming from downtown, walking to the back.
That'll be beautiful. But I'm saying I didn't see the parking spots in the front, but that means even so with the drive there, I could pull up take my things out and go in the front door, which has access to an elevator, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
In their elevator access though, up down on the gym floor, it would then take you up to the upper floor.
Exactly,
also.
yeah. No, that's what I'm saying, if you could get, right, you'd have to go in through the back street cultural entrance?
So let me answer it this way, because I think your point's very well taken. I think it depends on the arrangement that the town makes. In other words, if the town says, okay, you 21 residents, you're all artists, so we're gonna give you a key, and we're gonna let you come in through and use the elevator if that's what you felt. You know, I'm very security conscious, so the thing you don't want is you don't want people coming to a cultural center event and they're like, oh, what's in the elevator? Let's go upstairs and see what's going on. Because then, you know, you're invading people's private residences and you probably don't want that. However, the residents, maybe they have a key fob or like, where it's locked.
Exactly.
So,
You know, it's just a practical thing that hit me, knowing, because we've used this school for agencies and things over the years,
Right.
and it's always been very annoying to walk when it's raining and snowing and come up and then have to go up, forget the stairs won't be there, but, you know, it's still, the front is not,
right.
we'll be used to it someday, I'm sure.
Well, you know, the other thing is, this is such a classic entrance here. You notice I didn't touch the sidewalk at all. There's a flagpole there. I really was concerned about encroaching. You know,
Well, I'm
listen,
glad you
here's what I'll say, right?
It's nice.
A developer, you know, I am a developer, but I pride myself in the fact that I'm an architect. A developer would say, wow, look at all this green. We can cut this up and put parking here, and this is wonderful.
Parking garage right in front of it.
Exactly, but you know, I don't think that that's what you want. I think you want me to keep as much green so that the school, it'll be all cleaned up and look nice and new. You know, this I think I can live with, you know? I don't think I could live with any more.
No, I didn't see that at the first, so that is something. I just think of poor starving artists, you know, they got a lot of stuff to move around and, you know.
Right.
But I think the key fobs for people that are occupants is a must there.
Right.
You know, every rebuilding I go into now, they have all transitioned away. You can't get off any floor and go walk into somebody's apartment and you have to have a fob.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
That's lovely in the front.
Thank you. So what I'd like to try and show you, my last thing, and then I'm finished, I promise.
Take some more questions.
Yes, I'll take a question. No, we gotta go back to this. See if you can scroll down. I'm just gonna hold this one. I'm sorry about that. This one. That's gonna sit on. Okay. Okay, so this building right here, if you see what this looks like, I'm showing this to you because you probably want to know, well, who is this guy? So this used to be the Roosevelt Mill, which is in Rockville. And this was a 1906 building. Here you can see it's all reinforced concrete. You can see right through the building. It was all abandoned. It had been abandoned many years. It was a building that was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And then we turned around. See if we go to the next one. You can go back. Yes, you have to go back. Let's get rid of that.
Can you enlarge that at all?
Yes, you probably can.
Yeah, hit the X, the box.
All right.
See the box next to the X.
Yeah, just make it fit the screen.
He hits that.
The arrows on the lower right side will just kind of blow it up into the full.
Yeah.
Lower right side.
You gotta go to the top, right?
Chris, it's not that exciting, you're not missing much. Let's go to the one.
There you go. Yeah, so anyway, so there was a boiler building here and so forth and so on, and, you know, so we found this building, and this building, we built this. There are 68 units here. I want to show you what it looks like today. Yeah, right there, try that. All right. Okay, so this is kind of what it looks like today. We cleaned it all up. This is 82,000 square feet. reinforced concrete building, 68 units. We took the boiler building down and we saved the smokestack, which became the building's marquee. It says Loom City Lofts because Rockville was known as the Loom City. So we've rebuilt this building, and then let's get out of that. Go to the next.
And what's inside there?
It is actually 68 apartments that are 80% affordable, deed restricted, 20% market. You got it?
Wow.
Go to the next one. That's so easy for you, right? Try that.
You have to double click.
There you go. And then that was the view I showed you originally. Remember the view when you were looking through the windows?
Wow.
So this is what it looks like today. I would tell you that we won a lot of design awards for this. I won an AIA award, which for an architect is like winning an Oscar. So you are very welcome to speak with the mayor of Rockville or Sean Gately, who is the economic development person over this particular building. Loom City, we started this renovation and it kind of really, after this was completed, several other mills in the town became renovated. But my point is that I have experience doing historic preservation work. This is an amazing project. I am the architect, I am the owner of this building, and I don't manage it because it's affordable, so we have a special management group that does that. But, you know, this is my flagship project that we're very, very proud of. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to my website, ValloneVentures.com, and you can see the type of work that I do. And that's really it. That's what I'm sure.
Did you save a lot of the construction, or what was left of it, or did you have to?
No, this was a very interesting building. I fell in love with this building because when I went inside of it, it had already been gutted, completely gutted. It was wide open. There were knitting mills. And it was 300 feet long by 60 feet wide, so 18,000 square foot floor plates. And then we have, in this lower level over here, we have a community room and a fitness center and so forth. But the residents park in the back and they enter at really what is the second floor. And so there was really nothing to save. But, you know what, this is another picture I want to show you since you asked me. Let's get out of that. All right, go to the next one. So that's what one of the apartments look like.
Nice.
So there's see, this is a concrete floor. This is a concrete ceiling. Everything about the building, it was built in 1906, and it was one of the first reinforced concrete buildings in the state of Connecticut, which is why it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So what we did was we went in, and you can see, we ran new mechanicals, we put our kitchen in, and then we polished the concrete floor, and I painted this. Poor man's feature strip, just black paint on concrete. But, it was sort of meant to feel like when you go into those old world New York City apartments, they all have these beautiful wood feature strips. But that was my kind of little tongue-in-cheek on that. So you can go to the next one.
Very nice.
That's a bedroom. Let's go to the next one, please.
See what the cat is on.
Here's our fitness center. Next one, please.
Mike, if you just hit the arrow behind and go to the next one, that's shutting it down.
Here's our community room. You see the concrete ceiling, there's a seating area. So this is kind of fun, I love this. These were some of the original windows. This is a 5 foot by 5 foot sash that was the original 1906 window that I took out. I probably had about a dozen of them. And I refurbished them and put mirrors in the back so that, they're outside the lobby, so when you're waiting for the elevator, you can kind of check your hair and look at your makeup. And so this is really, and by the way, anyone who would like a tour, I'd be happy to give you a tour of this building. You can do a walkthrough. I can arrange that at any moment. I'd love to have you see the building. See if there's another one next. I'm not sure. There's I think we got more.
Here.
Oh, no, go up to area right there. See where it says above? Go up a few, right there, Ariel, right there.
Right there?
That, yeah. That's what it looked like when I found it. Can we make that larger?
Oh, my goodness.
Sure. Like that.
Yes. So you can see that front entrance, there was a 1927 mill building here, but look, there was trees growing on the roof and, you know, this is what it was. But, you know, there's something about the building that really caught me. I think it was, I did a lot of this work in the 80s in New York City. We took these old buildings, these old warehouse buildings in Manhattan and converted them to housing. Go to the next one if you can. And we, you know, we converted this, but that's where my affinity for these old buildings came from. Yeah, go to the front facade right there. Yeah, hit that. Yeah, hit that. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? I mean, you can see, and then go to the next one.
There's an arrow on the right-hand
Right
side.
there. Yeah.
It's too late. I tried to tell you, you can hear me.
No.
You don't have to keep opening.
Here, right here, right there, 3, number 3, right here. 3, yes, get that. Yeah, and that's what that street facade looks like.
Yes, you just hit that and take it. There you go.
So I would tell you that this is all reinforced concrete, and I would tell you that we spent $2 million putting this concrete back together. Scaffolding, cutting out the rusted rebar, and refinishing this building. And that's all brand new concrete, new 5-foot by 10-foot double hung windows. So you go to the next one.
All right, let's try what advised me from the room about.
There you go.
There you go. And there's your front. This is your, remember I showed you there used to be a mill right here, 1927 mill. So we hit the next one. And then that was the rear, which we saw. Keep going. We saw that. We saw it. Yep, we saw that.
Mac, your projectionist now.
All right.
Certified.
Anyway, so that's it.
Okay. One question on this.
So, yes.
By the time you got your certificate of occupancy, how close were you to the original budget that you projected to redo it?
Oh, we were under budget.
Good answer.
We were. Listen, here's the thing. That was a project that the capital stack, as I mentioned, was incredibly complex. We had state historic credits. We had federal historic credits. We had low-income housing tax credits, and we had something that it goes by a different name now, but it was, maybe somebody in the room may know it, but it was called CHAMP funding. It was, you remember the CHAMP funding? We had $5 million in CHAMP funding from the state, okay? Which was the maximum you can get. That was Community Housing Assistance for Multifamily Properties. That's what CHAMP stood for. So we managed to get that. And then we got an earmark from, we had a Democratic Assemblywoman and a Republican senator who worked both aisles in Hartford and got us a $3 million budget, a $3 million grant to do the environmental cleanup and so forth, because, as I tell people, the appetizers in most projects, I refer to the appetizers, are lead and asbestos. I mean, that's everywhere. But it's the entrees that can kill you. And so for the entrees, we had chlorinated solvents in the groundwater, and we had 10 feet of coal ash that was parked in the rear parking lot that we had to do an environmental land use restriction on. So, I really, my hair, if you saw me, my hair is gray. It was jet black before I did this project.
So you've been through these battles and wars.
I have. And, I also tell people this, I say this over and over again. There are two types of developers. I said this to the mayor one day, he kind of laughed. There's the big developer that comes in like, the old cowboy movies where you throw open the saloon doors and they got the 2 6 guns blazing and everybody's ducking under the table. That's not me. I'm the guy that, I go around the back door and I buy everybody a drink. And if you don't want me in your town, you know something? I've been on my own since I'm 27 years old. I never have a problem finding work. If I go into a community and if they are like, yeah, we don't want this or we don't want you, it's fine, no problem, no hard feelings, believe me. I never had problem finding work. So, you know, a project like this to me that has this inclusion of a cultural center, you know, being an artist, I understand and I appreciate the importance of that, and that I can take a school building that already qualifies for historic credits, and then we can build a new building in the back for 55 and older, near the hospital, near the CVS, walking distance to downtown. That's what really has attracted me to this particular project.
And, no, Buck? No? Guy, hang on.
Guys, you gotta be on the town council to ask questions here, so we will. When you're ready.
So first, before we do that, one of the things just for the council is we're continuing on background, right? So first it was brought up traffic. Because that road is congested at some points, especially during commute times. So Jack, could you come up for a minute? And as we've talked about this before, but maybe the people in the public, maybe they haven't heard about this before, but we did get a LOTSIP grant to widen the intersection. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Vander's left-hand turn.
Yep.
Right.
Chuck's working on it. But yeah, there's a LOTSIP grant the town had received from Westcott several years ago, and we are studying, in fact, we're beyond studying. We've designed a change in the intersection of Route 202, East, Elm Street, and that whole intersection, widening it to get an extra lane, make it more commuter friendly because of the backups. So Chuck's got the actual details. That's what I brought in.
Great.
Yeah, just to build upon what Jack said. So we did go out, this was an approval that went back many years prior to me starting. We hired a consultant, we went to design. Essentially it adds a turning lane in the northbound direction, turning lane in the eastbound direction, turning lane in the westbound direction. The southbound direction we kept the same. The goal at the beginning of this was to basically get people out of town faster, head north, keep everything moving, which would solve some problems in the downtown area. But with projects like this, it would benefit people coming down Secretariat Elm Street Extension, heading into town as well as people heading out of the Bennett Street, Elm Street area to this traffic light. So right now that project has been approved through WestCog, has been initially approved by Connecticut DOT. It's back in some review for some infeasibility studies having to do with, we're trying not to acquire more property through this. The funding was for a set amount. We already asked to increase it once. They did come back with some suggestions to basically widen the road even more and move utilities, add some sidewalks that weren't, in our opinion, necessary for the goal of this project, which is just to ease traffic, relieve some congestion. So the consultant's going back with some infeasibility studies to keep this project moving along. So that is something in the works that has been approved currently.
So that'll help with some of the traffic concerns that may be popping up. Another thing too is when we had the charrettes for what will we do at East Street School, we had a couple of them here. And we heard from the majority of the residents is they wanted to keep the property to town property. So, in talking with one of the conditions that we proposed is a 99-year leasehold. So the town still owns the property, which is what the people want.
Sorry, Mayor, could you speak up a little, please? I'm having a hard time.
Who's that? Is that Chris? Chris, we would be proposing a 99-year leasehold. So the town would still own the property. Also, we had asked about the community space itself, where the town would be responsible, and the town would also have the management ownership of the entertainment space. As we all know that we have multiple artisans, artist community, not only here in New Milford, but in the region. And we heard loud and clear from the public during their comments as if we continue to grow and expand our arts
thriving community here. Regionalize it, makes it even a better endeavor for New Milford to be arts and entertainment centric. And we've seen that not only in theater, but also in movies. I think we've done now 9 movies in 4 years. So is there that type of appetite? So I think that's another win for the town. Also, I'd like to remind the town council that we engaged Dean Petroselli to give us an estimate of the cost to bring East Street School up to code. $12 million without any type of remediation. And he ballparked at about $4 million. We don't have to do that anymore. That'd be off our books. And you'd have a school that's up to what it used to be. It would be alive. There would be people there with entertainment, people living there. We've all heard loud and clear the need for housing. And this is a livable, walkable space. This was COVID. After COVID, we've done analysis both by consultants that came here to also the public that came and gave us their input. And I think this is just a win-win for the town that really brings that area alive. Any questions or comments from the council?
I really like this design. I do
Thank
love
you.
the colonnade to the right. I think it really brings that pedestrian feel, leads right to the back of Theater Works, into the cultural center. There is some other parking across the street, across from the hospital, behind the senior center. That area people could park potentially that are more mobile and can walk across the street and walk that colonnade into the back. I love the aesthetics, the fact that the first thing when you said you wanted to leave the front alone, I think it's very important to most of the people in town because it's something we have been used to seeing since so many people went to school there. It's
don't
part
look
of
at
the, whoever else went to school there, I'm not sure.
Not in the 1930s.
Overall, I think it's a brilliant plan. I really do. I
Thank you.
like it. I think it's going to go well. I think people in the town will like it.
Thank you.
Obviously, it will serve the artist community, which is growing rapidly here.
Thank you. I wanted to point out that, you know, you saw that one building that someone was thinking about doing this L-shaped building. I really worked very hard to try and push the building as far back away from these single-family residences here so that that building is not in their face.
Absolutely. Very nice move there.
Katie?
Question about the new building facade. You're going to try to not match it, but you're going to make it consistent with the look of.
We're not there yet, but I definitely see a sloped roof, and I see, you know, maybe a brick, you know, a faux brick or a thin face brick. I mean,
Little
I'm not there.
cupola match, you know.
Well, I don't know about a cupola.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
yeah.
We get a front
Mayor?
view,
What's that?
a front view from
The
East Street.
street.
The elevation? You mean?
Yeah, no, I want to, yeah, look at the front.
Yeah, I don't have an elevation yet.
No, he was like, what does it look like if you're coming on East Street? What does the school look like?
Let's see if it doesn't have
What's your,
elevations.
do you have a rendering?
I don't have any elevations of the school or anything. I have we're not, the school itself, I mean, we're just putting it back the way it is. We're not doing anything. The only thing, as I said,
Changing the
we're gonna
outside.
clean the facade and we're gonna clean up the cupola that, you know, needs work. And we're gonna add this little tiny little entrance in the back here that's the only new construction. Everything else is just gonna be, you know, historic preservation, which, by the way, I will have to work with the, you know, the SHOPA, the State Historic Office of Preservation. You know, Julie will be there, I'm sure, and I'll have those people that will be going over our drawings. But, you know, this building is really thought of as being, you know, a historic renovation. So the outside should look what it looks like, only cleaner and newer. Like my mill. I mean, that's what my mill looked like in 1906. And you look at it now, that concrete, that's what we'll do here.
Mary Jane?
So the affordable housing piece, is that going to be 90% of the AMI?
No, the affordable housing is going to be, in order to qualify for LIHTC, it has to be 60% area median income.
That's better than 90%.
No, I mean, look, we'll play with the numbers. In other words, you know, again, I don't want to get in the weeds on this, but, you know, in order to qualify for light deck, you know, you have to average out 60%. Some towns want, you know, some units at like 20%, and then we give them units that are 80% to kind of balance it off. But when you average it through, it has to be at 60%. I see these really as being mostly 60% of not state median income, of area, which is higher.
So my concern was that, you know, these are artists and they're struggling 90% instead of 80 for them.
I understand. I understand.
Looks great.
Any
There
other?
won't be any 90%.
Yes. Chris?
Yes, so I guess one question I asked the architect, what drew you to this project?
I didn't hear what you said.
What drew up to the property?
What drew me to this property? You mean, how did I find the property, or what is it that attracted me to it?
Both, actually.
You know, I don't know. I think I read somewhere about it that it was. Oh, I know what it was. The Connecticut Preservation Group. You know, they're based in Hamden, Connecticut. There's a woman. There's some people there that I'm friendly with. They have a list of all the historic buildings throughout the state, and I usually go through that list. And there was a woman there that suggested that this school was available and that I should take a look at it. And then that's what brought me to it. And then what really attracted me to it was, you know, going inside and seeing that, you know, there's really a multi-purpose space in the basement. That, you know, a two-story space with light and so forth. And I immediately thought this would be a great community use. I didn't know at the time that the town was looking for a cultural center, but I think that's what kind of made it click together for me.
Good.
And if we decide to move forward with this, what do you think the length is? I know, I understand it's historic preservation, there's red tape, et cetera. Is this a 2-year, a 5-year, is it a 10-year project?
So that's a good question, and I would tell you that here's how I think it would work. Connecticut DOH has 2 draws a year where they request applications. They have one in the fall and they have one in the spring. The one in the spring, the date hasn't been announced yet. It's probably going to be end of March, beginning of April. And then what we would do is we would submit a very preliminary package. That most important thing would be I would have to demonstrate site control, which would mean I would have to have some lease agreement with the town, or I'd have to have control of the site. I already have the drawings. And then we would submit that. And then usually 2 or 3 months later, they would come back. And optimally, what would happen is they would give me what they call an invitation. And the invitation is, it's an invitation to submit what they call a CONAP, which is short for a consolidated application, whereby we would have to submit a substantial chunk of paperwork, but getting an invitation for the CONAP is kind of akin to getting a conditional approval, meaning that they've reviewed your application, they've worked on your numbers, because obviously we'll have to submit numbers with the preliminary package, and they would be willing to fund the project. And then at that point, once we get the invitation and the sort of, quote, conditional commitment, then we would work to a close. And then at that point, it's how fast can we close? Could we close by the end of the year? Maybe not, but maybe January or February of next year, we could close and think about starting construction. And then I would think the front building's probably a 14-month build-out, and the back building's probably a 16-month build-out. I don't know if we're going to do those concurrently. I'm not there. It's way too far down the road. But if we don't have our package together by the spring application, then I see no reason why we couldn't have a package ready for the October submission. And then, you're just 4 months further down on the chain. The thing that worries me now, and it's not just for me, but it's for anybody, the building isn't being heated. And that could be a problem if we don't do something at some point, because, you know, when it's 6 degrees outside, the building doesn't like that. And, you know, it's dry, which is good, and it's weather tight, which is good, but there's no heat. And I'm afraid, you know, this is not a building you want to leave 2 or 3 years without doing anything, and no heat in the winters.
So I think I heard this, but I just want to be sure. Are we guaranteed preservation and public access to the artwork in the building?
Well, preservation, I mean, you know, historic is going to be involved with this, and, you know, they have to sign off in order, because, you know, they're writing a check. People who write checks, you know, get an opinion. So we have to follow both the federal, which is really under the Department of Parks and Recreation, I think it is. Parks Department in Washington supervises the federal credits, and the state supervises the state credits. But in terms of access, you know, that's something that I heard for the first time tonight, and I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know how you
They've
do
seen
that.
it.
I mean, I think you have to think about,
Did you know that?
what's that?
That people have come and seen the art, the.
Yes, right, but the question, I think the question the councilman is asking is, are townspeople going to be able to just walk into this building and go up and look at the WPA mural on the wall? And
I see.
I think the answer to that is, maybe there are certain open houses that we do, but, you know, think about it. If you're living there, you can't leave the building open to all these strangers who are coming into you, you know. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a wise move. So maybe we work something out where 4 days a year, you know, there's an open house and people can come in. And you know what? And I'm just thinking this right now. I'm throwing stuff on the wall and hoping it sticks. You know, now I'm thinking, well, maybe the cultural center could turn around and that could be one of their events that they advertise. You know, maybe 4 times a year we do a big art event, and we also bring you upstairs and we show you the stained glass windows and we let you look at the, you know, maybe that's something that gets worked into the project.
Well, it would have to be worked into the leases, it would have to be worked into the leases on that floor, because you're gonna have studios.
I got 2 people
That would
talking.
be acceptable, because I can understand why you just can't have people running around, but I think some level, as one of the speakers said earlier, this was made for the public, and that art, and that's part of our town district. And I mean, I'd like to see our schools go see those murals, those different scenes from American history, stained glass windows. So if it's, you know, 4 times a year, so be it. But I think there would need to be some agreement for public access.
I don't think I would have a problem as long as it was a chaperoned event. You just can't leave the door open and let people walk through the building. But if it was chaperoned, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you could do it once a month. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is, we just, you know, it just has to be a controlled environment.
Right, and like I was saying before, hey, Chris, excuse me 1 second.
Just a town official doing the chaperone, but no, I agree with that. And the other thing, am I hearing this correctly, that there would be no town taxpayer funding needed for this?
There would be no town taxpayer funding needed, and we haven't resolved the construction of the finished space in the cultural center, meaning we just haven't gotten to that yet, because I think there's 2 schools of thought, and since you brought it up, we can talk about it, okay? One school of thought is, if I were to do the work, then all of that money would qualify for state and federal historic tax credits. So, you know, state credits are 20 cents on a dollar, and federal are 25, so all the work we do, 45 cents out of the dollar is being funded by state and federal money. That's very appealing. The other thing is, well, we don't have money in the budget to do that, so as we lease the space back to the town, your lease rate would be higher. On the other opposite side is, if the town turned around and said, we haven't talked about this yet, these are just ideas we're throwing around. The other is, if the town turns around and says, no, wait a minute, just give me a vanilla box. Just give me new plumbing, give me new heating, and we're gonna build it out. We'll build out the kitchen, we'll build out the finishes, we'll do all the interior finishes, we'll do that all on ourselves, and give me a lower rent. So I don't know. But the problem is if the town does that, wants to lower rent, but they want to fund it themselves, they're going to pay dollar for dollar. Whereas if I do it, then it becomes 45 cents on the dollar. So it's a decision that, we're not going to make tonight.
No.
Well,
Good to think about that.
I guess from this uncouth councilman, the cultural center seems like a very good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions?
Great presentation.
Yeah,
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you.
great ideas in there.
Thank you so much. Anything else, or you need me?
You better go now.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's great.
Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, it is 9:26, just so you know.
Okay.
Let's see if we can blow through these others.
We're gonna
So,
move, we're gonna
before-
move to item,
Okay, before we do that,
we're gonna add time.
Randy, so the next process, it seems like the council is motivated. At the next meeting, we asked the council to approve to negotiate.
To negotiate, just discuss.
Yes.
A potential structure and framework concerning what to do with the building.
That makes sense.
But there'll be nothing binding.
Correct.
No.
Because the taxpayer has to,
Oh, yeah.
at a town meeting, has to
Right.
award.
Yeah.
But to get a little bit further into the,
You want to get a structure, framework.
exactly, exactly.
I have to move.
Do you want to
Yes.
make the time?
Yep.
10 more minutes.
I'd like to move that we add 15 minutes
Second.
to go to 9:45.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay. Item 14B was to have some discussion and possible action on our short-term rental guidelines, but they are not, they're not completely through
I will
here.
have Attorney Morlady here at the February 10th meeting.
Sure.
I'll be
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff there. Okay. Moving on then, item 14C, we have also a discussion and possible action on our blight ordinance revision. Mayor, do you have that, or is that?
Randy?
Yes, the Attorney Morlady prepared the revision and it's in the hands of the city now, as I understand it. And he's waiting for feedback, it should be.
Oh, it
all
is.
together for the next meeting.
Okay.
So February 10th.
Could I just ask, is there a way for
Absolutely.
us to have them before we come to the meeting so we can read them?
Absolutely. Once that committee
Right.
Well, they're still working.
But
gives their recommendation, that it'll be here before.
in our
Yes,
hands to look at
Yep.
before we're sitting here. Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 14D, I'd like to move that we
Before,
move the, huh?
okay, before we do that,
Whoa.
just staying on blight, because this has been brought up in the public,
Oh, I
Randy.
thought we ended it.
Just
Sorry.
as the project has stalled at the police station right next to Popular. That's an 830G project.
Mhm.
I know the building inspector talked to you today, Mary Jane, I know that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
We didn't talk about that.
Anyway,
Talking about the multi-family unit next to the police department.
correct.
Okay.
And I know he's trying to contact that developer. Hopefully we'll have some information for the town council. But again, I just want to tell the council and the public is, this is a private development, a private deal that's done with 830G. The town has no standing, correct, Randy?
The town does not own the
Right.
property.
Correct.
Not understanding. The town-
And for those that continue to talk about it, the town really had no say because this is an 830G property. Okay.
As you know, zoning is essentially a tendril when it comes to 8-30G housing. The only way zoning can get involved is if there's a serious public health and safety issue. And now, that's a conclusion, it has to be fact to support that. And the town does not own the property. Zoning has very little control over it, it can't compel completion, it cannot.
And, yep, and then lastly as well, there's talk about a moratorium, right? So Randy,
830G.
so Randy, just so the public, as they're getting information, right? Information on Facebook, information, word of mouth.
Unreliable.
As they're talking, well, just so the public can understand, as you're talking about a moratorium,
8-30G housing.
I wanted to get to that, right, Randy? So there's different types of housing that people may not be aware of. there's regular market rate development, right? Then there's different types of federal and state housing that's done and developed. So now, Randy, I had spoken to you about this. So does the town of New Milford, or any town, have any way to create a moratorium on an 830G project?
Absolutely not. 8-30G is a statutory enablement. It allows a developer to file an application under 8-30G that suspends or essentially dilutes the zoning regulations. Secondly, the zoning commission might do a moratorium, but it's not going to because they would be running afoul of the Desegregate Connecticut policy. Thirdly, the town meeting has no authority under a case called Lane Olson against Town of Avon, 143 Connecticut, 1956. The town meeting has no authority to modify, suspend, or amend zoning regulations or planning regulations. That's an exclusive province by statute of the zoning commission and the planning commission respectively.
Of which zoning has no authority on an 830G
On
project.
830G, they're going to essentially, yes, that's correct, because they're going to essentially be applying a regulation prospectively and suspending its use. That's a statutory entitlement.
And Randy, just to continue on that train of thought for just a moment, so there's always a thing called unintended consequences. Because when you do action, you may get a reaction. So in fact, if you were going to try to put a moratorium on regular development, a developer then could say, okay, I'm not going to go by town of New Milford zoning. I'm going to do an 830G.
Yes.
So what that could do, in theory, is create even more 830G projects within the municipality because of the fact that some people want to put a moratorium on development.
This is news to me. A moratorium
This is Facebook chatter, unfortunately.
It's not reliable.
I know, amongst a lot of people that have
I
no
just think
clue
that
on
people,
that.
I just think that people need to know from our town attorney, right, well versed in the law.
Yeah, I mean, the News Times has some article that on Ridgefield and some other towns discussing moratoriums.
Ridgefield's talking about a general moratorium.
That's right.
Not a 830G moratorium, which is a violation of the statutory entitlement.
It would have to be up to the state legislature
Right.
to
Correct.
change the 830.
Correct,
She's
Absolutely.
Mary Jane is absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
It's the
So
state
legislative.
legislator
Right.
that has to
You
do
should
that.
say that to whoever's saying it.
She's on Facebook, she's gonna get tortured over there.
You're right.
But I don't pay any attention. It's not.
Alex?
No, I don't pay any attention to all that stuff. But a moratorium on storage units might be a good idea.
Well, that's zone. That's zone. You're with the wrong form.
You're in the wrong meeting.
I know.
You know that.
All right, we only have a few minutes left,
Okay.
we gotta roll through the rest of
All right,
So-
may I move forward now?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you're gonna listen. 14D, I'd like to make a motion that we send the Lanesville expansion project to the Municipal Building Committee.
Thank you, and they brought, Chris?
And the question is, my understanding of the municipal building committee ordinances, this doesn't need to come through town council. Is there a reason why you want to bring this to the next one through town
There,
council?
yeah, Chris, there is in the ordinance, the town council is to direct the projects to go to the municipal building committee.
Right. So,
Are we sure about that?
Rand?
Yes.
Yep, Randy?
Yes.
We're
Yes,
sure.
Town council, the municipal building committee acts at the leisure of the town.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the town council was one of several municipal entities that could put things through this building committee.
Maybe the board of ed, but the town council sends the general municipal project to the NBC.
Okay, all right, thank you.
all right.
Yeah, we motion, Alex?
And I know there've been some issues with minutes from the municipal building committee, et cetera, so that people would know what was going on. So is that being solved prior to doing this?
I believe it is solved now, Alex.
It is solved?
And then also, what we will also be doing is updating monthly what's going on with the municipal building committee. They've
Oh, that's
kind of been
great.
dormant now because the high school project is over with.
Right.
But we'll be giving monthly updates on these projects.
I think that's really important.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
You're opposed?
Who was that?
Okay.
Mary Jane's opposed.
Okay.
Okay.
Item 14E, I'd like to move that we approve sending the Northville roof project to the Municipal Building Committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Item 14F, I'd like to move that we continue in force the terms and conditions of the landfill settlement fund until it's duly amended by Article 9 landfill settlement fund.
We have a second. Any discussion?
What does it mean by being duly amended? What is that?
Until we change.
Randy?
The fund is no longer being funded.
Okay.
There's $26 million, $26 million?
22. Yeah, 23.
And in order to, there's no call for tax relief in one of the provisions. But the mayor the mayor suggests keeping it in force for the other uses and payment until it's amended to allow tax. So you're keeping it in force vis-a-vis what it has left.
Right.
And the uses that are listed. That's what I'm.
So it's keeping it.
So it can't be rated.
Until somebody.
It's keeping the same. It's
decides
keeping
to
the same
change.
uses. Yes, same uses as it's always had.
Right.
Right, Randy?
Right, so it can't be rated.
No, I was just wondering, you have to amend it. What's the amendment going to be?
There's no. It
There's
says
no amendment, just.
Duly, it means it stays the way it is until we decide to
Readopt
adopt it.
Okay.
Right.
Essentially, and you could tweak it, but it would be readopted essentially within the structure and framework it already exists.
So the same uses as it has now is the same uses that it continues.
Right. So nothing changes now.
Okay.
Okay?
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Thank you.
Item 12G, economic development update from the mayor.
Okay. Just real quick, I just had it here a second ago. Okay. First of all, for the state of Connecticut, when we're talking about unemployment statistics, the state on a whole is at 2.70%. In New Milford, we are at 2.31%. There's 15,138 eligible people to be employed. 14,787 are employed, which we want to make sure that everyone is employed. That's 439 eligible people that are currently unemployed.
Really?
Most economists will tell you those kind of numbers is they consider it fully employed. I want to congratulate a couple of new businesses that opened up. Mama's Bagels, it's in the Staples Plaza. If you get a chance, come down and see them. They do a great job. Also want to congratulate Planet Fitness. They are going to have their open house, but they are open at Staples Plaza. Also to Sandeep Kouar, who just purchased Dolly's Liquor. That's right in the end of the parking lot on Railroad Street. They just put on, she's done a lot of work to the building itself. She's going to put in high upscale wines and whatnot there. Also wanted to congratulate the winners of the New Milford Chamber Awards. And those were AgriVentures Agway. And they've been in business, for most of us know, 25 years. And they got the Distinguished Chamber Member of the Year Award. And for those that don't know, that's Dave O'Leary and Brian Leonard and Andy Straight, and they are all the owners of Agway. And a good thing they do is they employ a lot of high school students. So if you go in there, you see them, they're do a great job there. Also, Ivan Schiffman, who is a lifelong resident of New Milford, he was the Distinguished Community Member of the Year. It was an integral part of the Alzheimer's Association. He brought the walk back to New Milford, and he operates the Edward Jones office. We talked a little bit about Weekend in the Life. We may have a couple of more films that may be filming in New Milford, and hopefully I can update you the next couple meetings on those as we're working.
Mayor?
Yes.
I've been asked by a few people that now the word is out about Weekend in the Life. Who can, any normal, regular old person, who do they go to find out about it? What's going to happen? Do you need a ticket? Because the
So
ticket thing is
Yep,
what.
so some events you will have to buy a ticket for.
Like the tea set.
Like the teas, they're gonna do stuff at CSA, we'll be pushing all that out, there'll be different functions that people pay a ticket to. Now, if you wanna go to the beautiful bandstand that we have and take a picture, you obviously can do that, it's town property, and enjoy yourself.
Who's sponsoring it? I mean, who's putting it on?
The company, I'll get you the name
Oh,
of the
it's
company
what-
that
okay.
does it. Yep.
All right.
it's a
That
com-
owns the
Yep.
rights to that.
Correct.
Okay.
Uh,
3 days.
And
right?
it's 3 days, yep, April 11th through the 13th, and as we get closer, we're gonna put more information out, like I believe, I was talking with Pat Hembrook, who's kind of shepherding this from the town side, is they just got a couple more actors that have now signed on to be here, which will be great, so I'll continue to update.
So you'll
and-
put something
Yep.
up? Yeah.
We're continuing to working on this year's Restaurant Week. This will be I think our 3rd or 4th annual one, and I'll bring back to the council. We're also working on another promotion called Burger Bingo. So it'll be for the best hamburger in New Milford, so we're working on that, Randy. So we'll have more information. Yep, Burger Bingo.
Does that mean like vote for the best?
So it'll be like a bingo card,
Oh,
all
got
sorts
it.
of cool
Okay.
things. It's happening. Connecticut Small Business Development Council, there's a Build Your Dreams Business for lean strategies. That's a free online, and you'll be able to go to the town website, the Facebook page, Economic Development, and you can get the information and click online there. And that's from 11 a.m. to noon time. And the guest speaker is Jim Jackson, one of their business advisors. Also, they're doing a Managing Money in Your Business program, and that's another free online educational program that's starting February 5th. There's also, it's part of their Financial Essentials program. They also have what's called an SBR Accelerator, and that's where you can advance your innovation. They're having 6 days, February 21st through April 1st. And these are for-profit small businesses with less than 500 employees that's located in Connecticut. Majority owned have to be by a U.S. or permanent resident. Minority-owned businesses are encouraged to apply. You'll be able to see this information on the mayor page and on the town economic development page as well. And Haley Seeger, she will be there, and she's, I think, on the Shark Tank program. She'll be there as well. Then you can also learn about essentials of federal trademarks and how you can prosper with that. The SCORE, for those who know what SCORE are, those are retired business people that give mentoring, and you can go online and check out some of the great things they have. They have some wonderful workshops, webinars, events, and courses. You can also look on the mayor page and on the economic development page. They have like the hottest business trends, email marketing strategies to boost your business growth, strategies and tips for outsourcing small business owners, bookkeeping basics, small business, mastering business, a lot of great information. Most all of it's free
Right.
that you're able to get.
That's on the town site.
Yep. Also, the Women's Business Development Council. This is a great resource, especially for women-owned business. They are doing Fuel Your Growth and attend an SBA second annual funding forum. There's an East Center profile. There's lots of these as well. There's also going to be posted. They also have what's an accelerator program where you can get up to a $25,000 grant for women-owned business. And we had one of our businesses last year, which was on Bank Street, that creates the wonderful smoothies.
Yes.
And they won a $25,000 grant from the Women's Business Development Council as well.
Lovely.
That's what I got.
I move to adjourn.
All right.